So thank you to the students from École du Gold School. We have a treaty acknowledgement, and I ask Trustee Boytson to read out our treaty acknowledgement.
Thank you. We acknowledge the traditional land upon which Sunrise School Division resides as Treaty 1 territory. We honor our partnership with Canada's original peoples and respect the gifts of Indigenous history, culture, and language. We commit to moving forward in partnership with our communities in a spirit of collaboration and reconciliation.
Thank you, Trustee Boytson. Before I adopt the agenda, just for the people that are online, we have 6 of our trustees that are here with us tonight. Trustee Rowan, Trustee Smith, Trustee Boytson, Trustee Dent, Trustee Harris, and myself. We have 2 trustees that are online with us, Trustee Reed and Trustee Rowland, and we have 1 trustee that sent us his regrets. Trustee Nicol is not able to make it tonight. The adoption of the agenda, so be it resolved, the board approve our agenda. I'm going to move her, Trustee Dent, seconded by Trustee Boytson. Any questions to it? Hearing none, we'll vote.
Paul?
Yes, sir.
I have it says you have been added to the roll call, and I'll join the meeting and clerk adds roll call.
Can you just refresh? Stacy says, Russ, and I think we're good to go. Refresh his computer. Okay. Just refresh your screen.
I did that, and okay, I guess I got it now. This was... Okay, yeah, that worked.
All right. You got the nod here from the boss here, Russ, so thanks. So we have 8 people, reminder, and we have 1 that's not here tonight, so thank you for that. Chair's comments, a reminder that any questions, please send to jody.thiessen@sunrisesd.ca. Certainly put your name and address of the senders to be included in the email, and we'll certainly address your questions during a question period. Obviously, 3.2 is share a story. Are there any trustees that would like to share a story? Trustee Rowan.
I just wanted to share that SMS will be having their PAC AGM tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. They're looking for members to join them so that they can officially become a PAC according to their constitution. Meetings are about an hour in length and happen approximately every 2 months. So if any of our listeners is interested in more information, I encourage you to attend Wednesday's meeting or reach out to the school. I also wanted to mention that École du Gold School is having their back-to-school barbecue hosted by their PAC tomorrow evening as well from 5 to 7. All proceeds from goodies sold will go towards their playground improvement.
Thanks, Trustee Rowan. Share a story, anyone else? Trustee Harris?
I was able to attend the Broken Head River Recreation Commission last week, where they also had their annual AGM. And last night, the Gillis PAC met. Very strong group. They have events planned for the entire school year. And they have an AGM planned for Thursday, October 19th at 6 p.m. Everyone is welcome to attend.
Thank you. Anyone else? I had a chance to attend the Parvey School community barbecue where the staff were all there after school and welcoming parents and sharing stories and getting to meet teachers in their classrooms and those kind of things. It was a pretty impressive event. So thanks to Parvey School certainly for going ahead and doing that, and kudos to all the parents that were able to come on out. Anyone else? All right. We're going to move on to 4.1, where we have a delegation here with us, and I'll turn it over to you, Jody, to introduce.
Got my screen on, my microphone on. We're good. We can see the presentation. So I'd like to introduce everybody to our maintenance department manager, Derek Ryback. He's been with the division for many, many years. I won't say how many, too many years. Him and his team, Rita Ness, work hard at meeting all the needs of the school division, or of the schools and operating sites, as well as Brad Zaki. He basically is the handyman the helpful handyman when anybody needs some help. He's out there. So um, Derek worked hard, him and Rita worked hard putting this presentation together and to show all the hard ongoing work for capital projects and what they do on a regular basis. So I'll turn it over to Derek.
You now have 9 minutes and 45 seconds.
9 minutes? I thought I was given an hour. All right, first I'd like to start with Sunrise Maintenance Department consists of 19 sites in total. 13 of the sites are school sites. The total approximate square footage of all our buildings is 860,000 square feet. Maintenance Department staffing team is equal to 43.91 FTE. I'm not sure what the .91 is. Trying to figure out, somebody's missing something to be a .91. But anyways, we'll figure it out one day. The purpose of the annual and semi-annual maintenance inspections throughout the year is to determine what materials and labor are needed to keep them in good working condition and reduce operating costs. You can see quite the list of inspections that we do throughout the year. They all are very important, and the list is getting longer and longer every year, and it's impacting our maintenance budget dollars. The Co-Editor Charter School building envelope renewal is 93% complete. Expected completion date for this project is October 31st. Clap, clap, clap. Let's hope and pray. Things are coming along very well there now. Update on the modular classroom units. Oakbank Elementary is currently in use. They have received their interim occupancy permit. The Cole-Dougall School interim occupancy permit, we're hoping to have it this week. We're also hoping that Eco Beaujeu early years will have theirs the week of September 25th. Oakbank Elementary, we have a partial roof and air handling unit replacement project that's on its way. We're about 90% complete. We're waiting for the air handling unit, which is delayed. We're hoping to see that sometime in the beginning of October. Science lab renewal projects, Eco Parview, Whitemouth and Lac Du Bonnet Senior School. Those projects are complete, which is, they're all operating for the students to enjoy this year. Science lab renewal projects we're a tough project, again, due to the material delivery dates and labor issues. Hazer School gymnasium accessibility lift, sidewalk, and electrical panel upgrade. This project is approximately 45% complete, and we're expected to have this project completed by the end of October. Springfield Collegiate building envelope, mechanical, and roof renewal project is 95% complete. We're waiting for the chiller to arrive sometimes in October. An anticipated completion date for this project is also October 31st, 2023. I went through a number of projects that relate to capital, and I just want to share with everyone because a lot of people have the questions. I get questions asked by me on the street by saying, why are these projects taking so long? We have contributing factors why these projects are delayed. One being unforeseen conditions. Two, inaccurate drawings and delays from the suppliers, contributing factors. Labor and material shortage is a big factor for us that we have no control of. Electrical panels, HVAC equipment, plumbing fixtures, delayed, sometimes delayed up to 6 to 8 months. HVAC equipment, ERV units could take up to a year. Science labs for the fume hoods, 6-month delivery date. Years ago, it used to be we can get projects done in a 2-month time period. Things have changed. Things are taking a year to a year and a half to complete. Makes it very difficult for the students, the staff, everybody that's working these projects to work around them and try to get everybody on the same page to move things around smoothly so that we can still accommodate the education in our schools. Springfield Collegiate, there's a science lab renewal project that's going to be taking place, 2 classrooms. Tender results are currently being reviewed by Sternberg Architecture and the Province of Manitoba Capital Planning. Completion date for this project is March 29, 2024. The estimated cost for this project is over $1 million. Already the crunch is put on us because the longer we take to approve this project, it just forces us to more pressure on the general contractor as awarded this job. Springfield Collegiate Electronics Lab cabinet upgrade was completed this summer. Turned out really nice. It was well deserved. It was in, how can you say, age expired, and we found the funds to accomplish this project this summer. Replacements of water faucets and drinking fountains funded by the province of Manitoba is complete. There's quite a bit of, every school in Sunrise was had either a water faucet or a fountain that was added and replaced to the existing sites due to lead mitigation project. General roof maintenance we do yearly, and it helps us extend the life expectancy of our roof. As you can see, the schools that we have targeted this summer, they were completed, and so hopefully that we can get many more years of less roof leaks. Cleaning equipment upgrades as required, and purchased for increased efficiency. Camera video intercom system, upgraded some of the cameras because they've been installed in our division approximately 12 to 15 years ago. They are showing their age, and we're slowly replacing some of the cameras with 4K, better visual. Fire alarm, emergency lighting upgrades. We've done a fire alarm upgrade in the Sunrise Education Center due to false alarms, and it's been during our testing of the yearly testing, it showed that as we can need to be replaced, and we're doing emergency light upgrades as required to. This is a safety issue. Divisional flooring, due to wear and tear, we'll replace them as needed throughout the division. Johnson Controls and Medisys school control upgrades at Whitemouth and Centennial School are complete. This is a key component to our HVAC system for operation. This is what keeps our equipment running at optimum efficiency to save us money. And we have to look at savings in our budget due to inflation. So we're always trying for ways to nickel and dime things to make it last and improve the equipment. This is also funded by the province. Ongoing maintenance projects that we had tackled during the summer. We put a fence along at Dugald School, facing the west of the side of the school. We did a fascia and parapet upgrade there as well. Miscellaneous upgrades of lighting in Sunrise. Springfield Middle School, portable classroom received HVAC equipment put into that classroom, so it is now a permanent classroom. As you've seen, I went through a lot of projects. The maintenance department's been very busy all summer. A lot of great things happened. Lots of people were inconvenienced during these projects. Students, staff, school administrators, operational managers. We had a tour with Darren Key Thomas, risk manager from MAST, recently this summer, touring all our sites. We have 2 more sites to inspect. His comments were very clear. That inspection walkthroughs to our buildings are maintained, and despite the age of 60+ years, they are in excellent condition. Excellent work by the custodial staff, maintenance team for a job well done during the busiest time of the year. It wasn't easy. As I said earlier, these projects are no longer a 2-month project. They turn to be a 16-month, 18-month, 2-year project. And it's again, everybody working as a team. Ultimate goal is to go through a lot of pain to get an accomplishment. The end result is very positive for our division. It's hard to say no to projects when the funding is coming from the province and take the money when we can and get the projects done as fast as we can. But again, many challenges. Many challenges are hitting our maintenance budget that I've seen in the last little while. Material deliveries, like I mentioned, inflation costs, Manitoba hydro costs, all these things are playing a part in our maintenance budget. And it's getting tougher for me as a manager to try to do more projects in our division. I know I have a list of requests from school administrators that I barely touched this past summer. I'm hoping to get to this list more throughout the year if my budget dollars allow. As we know, we're going into winter. Heating is a temperamental situation where you never know what's going to happen with your heating system. You never know if a boiler is going to crash or a pump's going to go or air handling unit is going to pack it in. Snow removal is another thing we don't know. We have no control when Mother Nature brings us. All these factors are playing a big part in my budget. Somehow we have to look at it, revisit our budget and how we're doing our budget increases. Jody and I have been working on that closely in the last little while, talking about what our budget's going to look like for the next upcoming year. These are the challenges that we are faced with. And again, I appreciate everything that the board has given me to date to make our facilities the way they are and look the way they do. I'm very proud to be representing Sunrise School Division as a maintenance manager. I'm looking at that screen right now on your TV there. It's showing how clean the classrooms are. Those are in various schools. Everybody takes pride and it shows. And kudos to everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, Derek. We appreciate certainly the feedback that here. I'm going to start off by, Derek, as I was going through this, I was trying to calculate in my brain, you know, how much money that we've put in or that the province has in those pretty big projects. We're probably $16-17 million from my simple math as to what's going on. Don's not here. He'd tell me exactly what it is. But, and you made a good point. Do we turn around and say no to the projects? Or do we say yes and, you know, we sometimes limp through things as we've had to limp through? At the end of the day, though, things are looking pretty good. So kudos to our the maintenance crew and kudos to our schools that had to maybe sometimes limp through some things, but at the end of the day, they're starting to see some of the benefits of our projects that are there. And I think that we've, as a board, have talked about that as we limp through. How do we go ahead and support as, you know, whether it's like you talked about delays for a variety of different reasons. Jody's kept us well informed certainly about that. It's about how we can try to continue to support both yourself and our schools as the schools and the students and the teachers have to limp through some of these things. But at the end of the day, I think when you see that picture that you're right is behind us, when trustees had the opportunity to get into schools in September and take a look at floors and those kind of things, pretty impressive. So nice work to you and your staff as to how things have gone and to the schools for, you know, enduring, I guess is a fair word, enduring some of the things that are going on. And it was great for you to hear as we hope that some of those projects we're going to wrap up as soon as possible. Because as they go up, everybody's looking and watching, and brick by brick, everyone gets excited. So, nice. Comments from anybody? Questions for Derek? Anyone else? Trustee Boyton?
It was great when we had the tours to see some of those finished science labs, like amazing work. Going through, you know, some home renovations sometimes. I remember one was about a month long, and it just about drove me crazy because you're constantly cleaning and wiping, and there's, you know, dirt everywhere and a mess everywhere, and I can't imagine what these schools have gone through. And we have the privilege of going in and seeing when it's done, not when it's in the middle of the chaos and when you start ripping stuff out, what you're coming across and the unexpected. So yeah, what your staff has done has been amazing. So I do have one question though. Colony School, you didn't mention that on your list, but are you, I know that they own their own buildings, but are you responsible for making sure that they meet our standards?
Sometimes I'll be asked to attend a colony school to do a workplace safety and health inspection, or if they're, when I do my walkthrough, I notice things, I'll bring it to their attention, and normally, no, we don't get involved with their things regarding their maintenance.
Kathy?
I think you did do some work with a couple of them, though, in terms of training some of their staff. So you had some requests where they said, hey, could you come and help show us what a good way to do the work is? And that was kudos to your staff on that.
Anyone else? Questions for Derek or comments? I want to, I just put a little piece of paper over to Kathy, and I said, Kath, did I miss it about the Boyton lift? And so, all kidding aside, you know what, it's been a long time coming at Hazel Ridge School, certainly about the lift, and hopefully that, October 30th, certainly going to be on site. We're pretty excited about one of those things as well, because it's been a long time coming, and its timing of it then is potentially awesome because of what happens at, when they have Christmas concerts, those kind of things. So, nice, thanks for keeping us up to date. I'm going to give you another couple minutes. Now you have the ears of our trustees. Is there anything that you need?
I can sum up in 2 words. Money, please. Actually, inflation is what I'm finding is hitting us hard, and it's tougher to get the projects that we want to accomplish to get done. 2 reasons being the availability of the funds, because I have to be careful with the budget going into October through February, March is very crucial for me. A lot of unforeseen things that may pop up. Again, snow clearing and things that are out of control, HVAC systems that are breaking down and that we have to act on. Controls for schools, we have Beauger's early years. Right now we're looking at a control upgrade. This building that we're sitting right now needs a control upgrade. And when I say upgrades, for example, Beauger early years school control upgrades, 200,000 plus. So I'm hoping that the province will consider some funding for that. Controls for this building alone is anywhere from $60,000 to $80,000. So everything is just skyrocketed, and one of the things that I would say that's very beneficial to us over the years, we took advantage of a lot of the projects that we completed over the years, made a big difference in our division because we kind of beat the wave where everything's increased in pricing considerably, where we couldn't probably afford to do a lot of the things that we have done. So it's all great stuff. The challenge is I'm looking at is, it's planning and planning to get, if we can get more money. I know budgets are tight and there's limited dollars for the maintenance department. Again, I mentioned about all the inspections that we're doing throughout the year. These inspections leading to a lot of costs and we have to do them. Department of Labor, for example, requests to open up the boilers. Well, we open up the boilers, we don't know what we're going to get until we do the inspection. Sometimes it can run us $30,000 to $50,000 in repairs. Roofing, we do preventive maintenance to the roofs. We have to do that, and if we don't do that, it's going to cost us triple. So we can't defer things. We start deferring things in our budget. It's only going to hurt us in the long run. And I think our division has made great strides in moving forward, and we're sitting in a very good position right now, I feel. We just got to keep on with our budget, and maintaining is not going to work for us. I know last year I was in a deficit with the budget. I was watching it closely, and it's just things with snow clearing, and of course we still have our grass cutting and all these other things. We tender these things out. At the end of the day, it still has to be done, so it's things that are out of our control. It is, it's just at times that we just can't lose sight of this, and important that we keep on keeping consideration and pay attention to the maintenance, and that's where Jody and I will sit down and have conversations, and what's it look like, and sometimes we're asked the question, what can you cut? Well, it's hard to cut things when we need things. I normally don't do things because I just want to spend the money. The things that we do in our department are things that need to be done, and we have to be proactive in some things, because if we're not proactive in some of the things that we should be doing, what will happen will cost us triple in the long run. So it's a lot of preventive maintenance work.
One last question. You've been successful, and Jody, you can comment on this. We've been successful as we go to the province and getting dollars from the province for maintenance projects, as you're listing a number of projects that are on there. Why are we being successful? I'm glad that we're doing it, but the question is, why are we being successful?
Do I want to give my secret out to everybody else around in Manitoba? No, I think what it is the relationship that our school division has built up with the province of Manitoba over the years. And it stems back from not just me, it's from the Glenn Hurst days when he was honest on how he presents himself, what needs to be done in our division. And I operate the same way. It doesn't matter if it's Ecole Parview or it's Whitemount or Ecole Beauger early years. To me, it's Sunrise School Division is a school division. It's not something personally I take, well, I'm going to put all my money into Beauger area because I'm from Beauger. It's because of the fact we provide a lot of reports, for example, roofing reports to the province of Manitoba with a plan showing them they can plan where the maintenance dollars have to come from their end to provide our school division money when the lifespan of our roof is going to be. So we have a pretty good maintenance plan regarding our HVAC system and our projects that we look into, and the province requests that we do a 5-year capital plan. And we usually put our top 3, 4 priorities on that list. And when they look at the list, they say, oh man, well, this is pretty serious. If Derek's putting in the list and he's saying, we need this to be done now, there's a reason for it. So I think a lot goes because of the fact that we built a very good relationship, and we're not just out to try to gather a project just to say that we got a new science lab because we want to upgrade something. We're doing things because they need to be done, because the majority of things that are happening are age expired. And it is time consuming sometimes that we have to wait 3 to 5 years to have projects awarded to us. But again, it's in my career, I believe I'm sitting around over $70 million of the projects that have been awarded to our division. So it's a lot of work.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and I'll agree with Derek, the honesty in our relationship with the province. We will have a talk with them in regards to the contractors that we're working with or the architects that we're working with. And I think they appreciate the honesty of it. We call a spade. If it's not working, we identify why and how we can prevent it from happening again. And I think that just how well our reports are written, and that we're not just putting things on a wish list. Our 5-year capital actually means something. And we've had somebody from the province come and check out the roof at some of our schools and admit that there are other divisions that just create a list. They hire consultants to identify when a roof needs to be replaced, but the consultant may have an interested investment in saying the roof needs to be replaced. We don't do that. We really go out there and recognize when a roof does need to be replaced, because we have the maintenance. We have our department's well stocked with the information when we do the roof repairs and maintenance to it. So a lot of the information, we're not making it up, and I think the province understands that. They know that we're spending the time and making sure that we are spending the maintenance dollars where needed, not that we're going to let it fall apart so the province steps in and funds the capital project.
I appreciate that you talked about those external relationships and the external relationships, but I don't think we can sell short how hard the maintenance department works to build those internal relationships as well, because it oftentimes are big projects that are over the span of a year. There is no good time to rip a school apart. We don't have a school in our back pocket that we can just ship people to. It has to happen when the school year's on the go. And Derek, you and your department do a really good job of helping educators navigate what that's going to look like and helping to have them attend site meetings, and that internal communication is also pretty huge in terms of how smoothly a project goes. So it is those relationships outside, but also the translation services that you do for us in the internal part.
Anyone else before we wrap up? Certainly, Derek, on you know what, we do want to, on behalf of the board, say thanks very much for the work that you're doing and your crew. We appreciate it, and you're right. You know, you talked about over the course of your career, $70 million. That's great for the families and kids of Sunrise School Division. So thanks very much as you continue to do that.
Thank you very much, and I just want to elaborate what Kathy just said there. I agree that the internal people within the division are engaged, and that's making a difference. That's making a huge difference for us. They're totally engaged, and like I said earlier also, they have, it is, when they rip a building open and it's 18 months of being destroyed, there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes that I don't think people are aware of what's going on. And believe me, when I see a boiler room, when it's torn apart and people are walking in, and they say, this will never be ready, and I says, come back in 2 weeks, and there's a big change. So again, it's the engagement of the school administrators, the staff, everybody. And if I didn't have that engagement and them being supportive, we would never succeed. It's impossible. We cannot do it alone. We need the team we have, and it's a complete team. And I'm very fortunate that Sunrise has this team. Very good place to be, Sunrise School Division. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing, Derek. Appreciate it. Nice work. We're going to move on. We have, Derek, and you did say that you were going to stay for the rest of the meeting, so thanks very much for that.
You have to go late break before it gets dark.
Yeah. We have minutes of September the 5th inaugural meeting, so be it resolved that the board adopt our September 5th inaugural meeting minutes. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by trustee Dent, seconded by trustee Boytson. Any questions to the minutes? Okay, hearing none, we'll vote. It passed 8-0. We have minutes of September the 5th, the regular board meeting. Be it resolved that the board adopt the September 5th, the regular minutes. Moved by trustee Rowan, seconded by trustee Harris. Any questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. Thank you. We're moving on to 6.1, the superintendent's area. So superintendent's report, Kath?
Thank you very much. I wanted to just highlight that we are up a couple more students. So we have some more students who have dropped into the area, and we'll keep you posted throughout the month of September as to where we land at the end of September. I think it's really important next week for people to be out in schools to see what students are doing in recognition of National Day of Truth and Reconciliation. Falls on a Saturday this year, so it's not a school day, but we have a ton of things going on in our schools that whole week. So pop in, check out websites, see what's going on. You will see a ton of really good work by the students in our school division. We also have our very first grade 10 provincial assessment happening in Manitoba, and we've just gotten the information, and it's still a little fresh for schools, so bear with them in terms of information that's coming. But on November 7th, we're doing math assessments. On November 8th and 9th, we're doing ELA reading and responding assessments. It is important to note that the students will do the assessments, and then the marking is also done by lead teachers and teachers in the classrooms. Final results of those assessments get shared with the teachers, schools, divisions, and then individual results are shared with students and parents once the local marking is complete. It is not part of a report card process because we're assessing math on students who may not even be taking math in that semester. We're assessing English skills on students who may not even be in an English course. So it is one of those assessments where we're going to spend some time assessing you, and it's not going to count for part of your report card mark. So it is the first time the province is embarking on this. Stay tuned. We'll bring some information and see how that all unfolds. Again, October 3rd is just a friendly reminder that we don't have students in schools. We've got some of our schools being used as polling stations. But our staff are doing a ton of hard work on that day doing professional development. We've got sessions rolling all over the division in all kinds of different areas, so you will see staff busily engaged in all sorts of work on the 3rd of October. And then the last thing I wanted to just highlight was we start off the school year and we're very excited about how things are going, and we have Meet the Teacher barbecues and we have all sorts of good things. It is super important that whenever someone has a question or a concern or something that just isn't sitting right, reach out to the school. Be brave, be courageous, and ask the school because very often that will be the first thing that will help you solve that problem or to get the answer that you need. Everybody is here working in the best interest of kids, so we just want to make sure that we remind folks to reach out if they are feeling as if they have questions or comments or things they need some help with.
Comments or questions for Kath? Kath, with regard to, so I have one, with regard to the assessment that the grade 10 students are doing, I would love to hear the feedback that we get from our staff as to how engaged students are about taking this when they're not, when it's not for marks, when it's not, if they're not taking math, when all of a sudden they get asked a math question. English, on the other hand, is we're learning English all year, you know, it should be learning English all day anyways, but it'll be very interesting for us to hear the feedback with regard to this, I'd be interested. Yeah. Anyone else for Kath? Okay, we'll move on. Thank you. Kath, we have the draft reporting schedule. It's for information for the board. Is there anything that you need to highlight or want to talk about?
Nope, I don't think so. It's there for information if we need to change anything. It is meant to be fluid and flexible, so if there's something we need to add or subtract, let's make sure we just make that comment to the folks in the room and we'll get that done.
Can you just comment to the millions of people that are watching about the programs, just a reminder about the programs that are, that we're reviewing this year?
Yes, I can. Physical education is on the docket, as is alternative programming for students. So those program reviews will take place throughout the year, gathering all sorts of information and meeting with folks, and we'll come back to the board towards the end of the year with a recommendation.
Thanks, Kath. Secretary Treasurer's report, Jody?
The usual update as to what the wonderful operational departments are up to. I just wanted to let everybody know we're in the depths of the audit for our year end. The auditors came on site this week, and they'll be here for a few more days, and hopefully they'll give us some good information back. I wanted to give the board the update from our last meeting. We discussed that we wanted to advise families that we are going to see possibly a struggle with ensuring we have enough spare drivers, and the last thing we want to do is cancel a bus run. But in the event that it may happen, we did send out a letter last week. It was sent out to the schools, and the schools could distribute the letter how they see fit with their families. So some sent it electronically, others sent it by paper copy, some sent it right away, others sent it later on in the week. With that being said, the letter has been out. I have not received, I put my direct number on there should anybody have concerns. I've also shared the transportation number on there if they have any concerns, and I've received no feedback so far. So I hope everybody understands the circumstances we're facing. In the letter, it identified the circumstances of, we had a number of drivers that were in the queue. We didn't identify how many number of drivers, but the MPI strike does have an impact on how we can get our sub list longer. So we identified some of the impacts. So yeah, we sent that out. Other things that were taking place, I think the board wanted to be updated on our computer renewal program. So we do have a number of computers that are going to be on site. Some are already here at the SEC gym. And what we're going to be doing is on October 3rd, roll out a lot of the computers to the schools while the PD day is taking place. So we'll be deploying a number of computers. Our main focus is Edward Trier School and Beausejour early years, but we also have Gillis and Hazelridge, depending on how well the sites are installed and how everything goes. So it'll be a big day for our IT department, but we wish them well. And that's it.
Any questions for Jody? So Jody, can you keep us apprised of two things? One is the computer rollout. Can you keep us apprised as to when ICT, or each time where ICT is with regard to making sure that our hardware is in? So basically, if we have 100 computers left to roll out, can you keep us updated as to when the completion of those 100 computers are about being rolled out? And can you keep us updated certainly with, we've heard, we've had some challenges certainly with our phones, our phone system. As we work through that, can you just keep us with updated as to how that is going across the division as well?
And I can actually give a heads up to anybody who's listening as well or watching. Individuals who are utilizing or using and phoning a school on a landline, we're finding that there is some feedback, or you can hear an echo. Not all the time, but sometimes. So we're working on that and working with Rogers, the service provider, to resolve that issue. But today there is a lot of technical work being done, but of course I'll update the board.
Thank you. We're moving on to any others for Jody? Alicia?
When I was speaking to the ladies at Edward Schreier, they said the phones are analog. Is that what's going on? So that's why there's issues? Is there anything about that?
Yeah. So the landlines are the analog. What we have would be the digital or VoIP system or something like that. With analog phones, yeah.
Anyone else questions? Okay, thanks very much, Jody. We have board business. The first part is our grade 1 to 8 grade report card data. Kath?
Thank you. It's my happy place. We're going to look at some graphs and some report card marks. I won't take you into the deep depths of this, but I do want to highlight a couple of pieces. So you will run through the PowerPoint that you have, and this is also a public piece. I wanted to make a quick note of this is a bit of a sliding scale. So you might look at this and go, wow, what's the big deal? This orange bar is the same all the way across. But the numbers on the side are different. This is up at 250, this is 150. So you do have to take a look at that and say, hey, the students who got a 3 on a report card went from 261 to 185 to 181. So you can see those 3s are decreasing, even though the orange line might look as though the optical illusion is it's just even. Same thing with the purples. We've got more students getting into the 4 area with 64 going to 82, going to 107. So one of those high-level pieces that you're looking at as a board is how are the grade 1s progressing through their critical thinking? Over here on the side, you'll see that we're talking about grade 1s. You'll see that we have all 3 terms ticked off, and you can see that we have critical thinking here. What the schools can do, and the data that the schools have, is they can click off their own school and they can say, okay, where am I sitting in terms of this? And they have access to that data right away and can look at how are their schools doing on particular things in this area. It is important for us at this governance level to be looking at our students in any grade starting off in a particular area and making progress throughout the year. It is super hard to make that prediction because these are now the grade 2s. And we would say, well, hang on a second, our grade 1s at the end of June landed here. Shouldn't they start grade 2 at this very same spot? And the answer is no, because they're now working on grade 2 curriculum, which is tougher than grade 1 curriculum. So they slide back a little bit to the grade 2 curriculum, and it is hard to compare that over year, saying, well, how did our grade 1s do this year compared to last year? Well, you can't. They're different kids. So I just want to point out a couple of those things. You can, I'm going to date myself now, there used to be books when I was a little kid that you could whip through the little corners and it would be a little story. You could actually do that and see the little bar graph jump up and down and say, hey, look at the purple bars getting bigger as we go. I won't do that to you. It takes you through critical thinking, it takes you through problem solving, it takes you through reading, and it takes you through writing. We have other ones that we look at which are report card outcomes, but those are the 4 that we report on for here as a board and to our continuous improvement plan. Schools will dig deeper into different report card marks and the like. In the report part of this, you will note that problem solving has a smaller range of progress. So from 156 to 130 to 144, that's a bit of a smaller leap. The 61 to 100 and then 113, it's smaller or lesser gains in the area of problem solving. You'll note the same thing in writing. And those are trends that we see across the province and across the country because problem solving and writing are the areas that are really difficult for kids at these age levels. So as we point that out, you'll see in the report that those are areas that a lot of schools will end up working on in their school plan because they're areas that we identify students struggling. You have the report with kind of the gist of what do all these things mean and why do we use report card data and how important that is, and you have the data here, so I won't take you through the fun of all of it. I'll stop.
I'm not going to let you off the hook, though, Kath.
Cool.
So part of it is what we're looking for is, or for anybody that hasn't gone through and looked at the individual things, and that's kind of in your bailiwick anyways. How do we sit?
Again, there are pieces on here that if I look at it as a division, we are absolutely progressing at a rate that makes me proud or makes me feel like we are hitting the mark in some of these areas. We want to layer the report card marks on top of provincial assessments and on top of classroom profiles and say, how does that alignment work? Is the report card mark lining up with what we have on a classroom profile? Is it lining up with what we have on a provincial assessment? And we are progressing in a positive way. There are students in our system who aren't progressing as much as we'd like to, and there are individual students that we have student-specific plans for, we have different interventions for, but as a whole, when I look at the division or when I drill into each school, it's an excellent tool for me to say, well, hang on a second, what's going on at this particular place or in this particular grade level, and we can target the conversation, target some of the resources, the supports that we need. It's a great way for us to be able to sort through and say, where are we at in these places and grade levels? Nothing on here from the divisional level concerns me.
Okay, so that was my next question. You're reading my mind. Is there any kind of concerns that, certainly, again, we're not talking about that we want to drill into grade 1 at Powerview School. That's not our responsibility. But part of it is are there concerns that we have that aren't able to be met at the school level because we don't have the right people in the right place, or those kind of things? That's the general question that I'm looking for.
Yeah, there's pockets of places where we have to dig deeper, and I'll use a safe example, so I'm not going to, target any particular place or space. A school had a great number of NDs in a particular area. And I was like, what do you mean they're not yet demonstrating this skill? So I immediately pick up the phone and say, like, how come there are so many NDs in your school? And it's that responsive bit to, I'm noticing this. And the administrator or administrators of the school said, yeah, we were thinking you might notice that. Here's what happened. And they have the explanation, and they're looking at those kinds of things. So it's not a whole year later that we're saying what's going on with this. And they had a very reasonable rationale. Sometimes we'll have students who are struggling with reading, and the school will have an answer as to, yeah, but we tried this, or we're just a couple of weeks behind what we need to do, and that didn't line up with report card times. I think the piece that is the most important is that ability to look at it, to have the open conversation, and to know that schools and teachers are having the same conversations and are being responsive to what they're seeing in the data. They're not carrying along just thinking, well, I feel like they're doing okay. They're responding to what they see in their data.
Okay, so one last question. As you're meeting with the teams from schools around, and I'll use the ND example, are all of our schools in the situation where they're identifying an issue and they're putting a plan together to work towards that issue? And so what I'm looking for is, not that everybody's fixed anything, well, we want them eventually to address it, but are all of our schools in that position where if they've identified an issue, that it's being addressed?
Yeah, so their school plan, the language I'll use with schools is pick the thing, I'm gonna regret, pick the thing you're sucking at, pick the thing you're terrible at, pick the thing that is driving you nuts, and work on that thing. Don't pick the thing that you're good at, because you're not gonna get better at that. Whether you're playing sports, whether you're learning to read, whether you pick the thing that is terrible and work on it, because it's going to bring the other skills forward. And I'm pleased to say that over the last probably 3 to 5 years, we've gotten really good at picking the terrible thing and saying, ooh, we've got to spend some time on this. I don't have anybody who is going through the motions and saying, oh yeah, look at our great data on this. They're picking stuff they need to be working on.
Thanks, Kath. Anyone else? Kath, because I believe that these are the kind of conversations that are high level, that we want to ask those kind of questions, and we want to hear from you. And the fact is that, okay, so if we're not there, what do we need to do to get there, about trying to address those kind of things, and whether it's resources that we can provide or whatever. But part of it is there's problems, and there's problems probably in all of our schools that we want to go ahead and address. What's the plan, and what are we working at?
So maybe the last thing I'll add is we also do, the structures that we have in place to support. We have our program leaders doing residencies with teachers, so we can deploy them if we need to. We have some divisional expectations that help everybody keep on track. We have, Lars goes out to each school every 6 weeks and talks with them about their student support team and what are some of the resources that are in place for students with exceptionalities and how is their student support team functioning. I go out on alternating 6 weeks to talk to them about their school plan, so every 3 weeks they've got one of us in their space, and we're adding a financial check-in with Jody this year. So every 2 weeks they have one of us coming into their space to say, how's it going and what do you need and how can we help you move that forward?
Anyone else? Thanks, Kath. So 8.2 is strategic plan review. Kath?
microphone. Whoops, I'll start again. Kudos to the board. Let me say that out loud on the microphone for everybody to hear other than just in the room. I think that some of the hard work and the heavy lifting on this was pretty important, and every year when we have this as part of our draft reporting, it's important to highlight where we're at and to say, does this still make sense? Is it where we want to be? So I just wanted to highlight really quickly and then give you all a chance to speak to anything you would like to. This board has chosen work in the area of education, social emotional, and relational. And in those areas, they've said educationally, it's important for us to be looking at literacy and numeracy. In the social emotional domain, it's important for us to be looking at mental health and well-being. And in the relational domain, it's important that we are focused on community and cultural connections. The rest of the document goes through and talks about what a strategic plan should be, but what do we mean by literacy and numeracy and mental health and well-being and community connections and cultural connections? And what are some of the strategies that we have in place in the reports that we'll look at that will tell us how we're doing in these areas? So I think there is a great deal of good stuff in here, but then it's going to be seen this year as to where we get and how we track some of the things that we've identified are priorities for the board to be looking at.
Anybody want to comment on that? So again, for the people that are listening, and you know, the board has done some good works, and kudos to Kath and your team for helping us. When we talk about relational domains, it is about we want our trustees to get into as many school events that are possible, and we want to get our trustees to PAC meetings. As Trustee Harris was talking about, that he was at Gillis yesterday, and again, there was some real good sharing back and forth that he was just telling me about. So we do want to get in and going ahead and finding out from you, and when it's good for principals is that get our local trustees into your buildings, taking them around buildings, getting to understand your building, because that's the best kind of feedback that we can go ahead and get as we go ahead and take a look at policy and budget development about going ahead and doing that. So I think that that's kind of the plan that we're looking for, and we will try to be in your schools. Of course, it's not just dropping in and say, "Oh, take me around." Obviously, it needs to be it needs to work for everybody, but that's certainly what we're looking to go ahead and do. Anyone else want to comment? Okay, thank you. We have graduation data. Kath?
I feel like I'm monopolizing the conversation a little bit, but some good educational stuff. So I wanted to always at the beginning of the year just give the board a highlight of where have we had graduates from all of our schools. So you will see that we have a report here of how many graduates in each of the places, who are our Sunrise Gold Medal winners, and then who are our Governor General Medals winners. When we do our credit attainment report a little later in the fall, we'll also come with some graduation rates in terms of how many students had how many credits. And when I talk a little bit about that, we also want to talk about that it's okay to graduate in more than 4 years. That sometimes we have students on this list who have taken 4.5 or 5 or even 6 years to graduate, because that's what they need to do. Sometimes they're working a job, sometimes they just need the extra time. So we'll talk about that in credit attainment in terms of what do these numbers mean? 94 out of how many?
Comments for Kath? Anyone? Thank you. We've got committee reports. So we have our policy committee and Trustee Nickel. So who's going to help them out? That since trustees no, who's on our policy committee? There you go, Trustee Rowe. And so do you know what? Together with you and Kath, can you? I should have asked you this earlier, so no surprises. Do you want to make any comments, certainly, about you had a meeting on... We haven't had a meeting yet? Do you want to give us some updates then, just kind of what the plan is?
We scheduled our meetings, and there's schedule in our electronic school boards of what we'll be covering. Otherwise, no update.
Okay, thanks. Kath? Okay. So the policy committee, so there are obviously no meeting minutes. It looks like we're meeting certainly on October the 16th. Finance committee, Trustee Boyton, you're chairing. Any updates to kind of what progress for you?
No, our meeting is on Thursday, and I'll be touching base with Jody before I leave here tonight to figure out what our plan is. So next meeting we'll have some updates.
Okay, thank you. So there's obviously no check, there isn't a check register, and there's no finance meeting minutes. As we move on to Education Foundation Committee, Jody, floor is yours.
All right, so I'll pull up the agenda, or the document. I provided a report to the board and the fellow committee members, identifying what some of the changes to the Education Foundation resulted in. So really what it did was the board still has control over the Education Foundation, but it can create the subcommittee, and then there's the executive committee. So the executive committee is made up of the secretary, treasurer, superintendent, and the chair of the board. And then the committee, we added Trustee Dent and Trustee Nickel to it. And from there, it's basically a lot of heavy lifting in the future. So the requirement for the Education Foundation is we have to meet annually. And our first annual meeting will be held to talk about the financial statements with the auditor. So it'll be at the same time on October 17th. We'll meet with the auditor on the Education Foundation Scholarship and Donation Funds. And then from there, we can start really planning the heavy lifting. What does the Education Foundation look like now in terms of policies, and how do we accept donations, what can be accepted, and how do we disperse the funds, and what fits in our criteria. So with that being said, drafting and creating those kind of considerations, there's going to probably be multiple meetings in a shorter period of time just to get those policies up and drafted and reviewed by the board and policy committee. And then we could probably find ourselves in a level of where we've established the expectations of the foundation, and then try and meet on maybe more of a quarterly basis after that. But it might be a year to 2 years, depending on what direction we want to take the foundation. I was not part of the discussions about drafting the new trust for the foundation. I didn't understand, or I didn't know what the big picture of it all was. So I think the initial meeting, probably late October, early November, will discuss about what the objectives of the meeting would be.
Anyone want to comment? Trustee Boyton?
Just a question, so you're not having to reinvent the wheel. Is there some kind of standards or some information that you can tap into as to what kind of policies do you need? Like, where do you even start?
So between what already exists is going to be one basis. We'd probably also look at our neighboring foundations, the Broken Head Foundation and other foundations. Kind of at the same time, foundations don't have to do the same thing. So maybe we want to consider, are we going to be a little bit different from them? So reaching out to those, and then also taking a look at what CRA might have as guidelines, things like that.
So at the end of the day, the committee's getting, so it's great that we finalize things with the Court of Queen's Bench. And then all of a sudden getting together with our committee, and then publicizing and sharing certainly is real important to our communities with regard to the process here. So kudos. Okay. So we have now professional development, so MSBA collective bargaining training, that's October the 10th, that's information for us. We have the fall AGM of the MSBA, Manitoba School Boards, November 23rd and 24th. There is no divisional finance summary, 10.1. We have a number of letters with regard to board correspondence. Two letters of appreciation from 2 students. That's correct, Stacy, right? And that's there for the board to know. Nice letter, nice article, buses are back on the road, from the Clipper. We have some upcoming meetings that are here with regard to regular board meetings, the Northeast Man Municipal Forum. A reminder, if you're attending, you do need to get a hold of Stacy, trustees, if you're going to go ahead and attend that. Jody, can you check and see if we have any questions from the public?
Nope, no questions from the public.
Okay, we do not have to move back into in-camera, but we do have a motion from in-camera. And the motion reads, be it resolved that the board adopt the stated wage bands for the non-union staff in the Sunrise School Division effective July the 1st, 2023, and be it further resolved that the board approve up to $60,000 included adjusted retro pay to implement compensation increases. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by trustee Boyton, seconded by trustee Smith. Any questions to it? Okay, here we go. Yeah, this is 17.
What number?
This is 17-1, Russ. This is one that we discussed in camera, and it's 17-1 that you're voting on with regard to the non-union compensation package.
Okay, yeah, I see it.
Thanks, Russ. Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll vote. And it passed. Thank you very much for passing that. I guess it's adjournment, right? We missed anything from anyone? All right, so we're adjourned. Thank you very much for people that are listening online. For the two trustees that are with us on the phone, stay on the phone, because we have one thing that we're just going back to talk about with a wrap-up of our meeting.
Okay, so we'll stay on.
Yep, stay on the line, Russ.
Okay.